Let's ask ourselves a couple of questions to discover whether or not we truly are a busyness addict, and that's why we feel guilty about trying to relax and enjoy our life. Do you hate wasting time or being inefficient? Do people who talk slow, work slow, move slow frustrate you? Do you find it very difficult to calm down and be slow? And if someone says to you, just be in the present moment, you want to be like, so say you finish work at the end of the day. Could you sit on the couch and just breathe and feel, this is nice? Or do you instantly think of the next thing that you've got to do? Does your brain instantly go to your to-do list and you feel a little bit anxious if you're just sitting there because you're like, I've got to do something, I can't sit still. Do you see being alone as being lonely? When your work and efforts are not validated, whether that's someone at work or someone that you work with if you own your own business, or your social media posts aren't getting as much interaction, does that affect your mood, emotion, and mindset? If you answered yes to any of these questions, chances are you are very guilty, just like me, of finding it hard to relax and enjoy downtime. Overworking, overdoing, overgiving, never ever slowing down, always needing to be busy is both an identity and a mindset that we have chosen and that only we can change when we realize it is going to create the same fear that we're running from, which is exhaustion, loneliness, and a lack of fulfillment. We truly believe that this overworking, constantly overgiving is going to make us happy, feel free, and make us successful. But the truth is, it is taking us further and further and further towards the thing that we fear most, which is a lack of freedom, a lack of feeling joy, fulfillment, and happiness, and absolute utter exhaustion. And just between you and I, people that feel guilty about resting actually feel like the world's going to totally fall apart if we stop working. Yeah, it's quite narcissistic, really. When you slow down, when you do things that are bringing you joy and inspiration and fulfillment, you're going to be more effective. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel more inspired, and you will tap into your creativity. There's a massive, enormous difference between force and flow. When you're coming from that space of guilt, you're forcing it. And yeah, you'll get shit done. You will move mountains, but you're going to be doing it from a place of scarcity and fear. And it's just not going to be as good as if you were to take a little bit of downtime, tap into some flow. You'll be way more creative. You would have way more fun, and it's going to connect with people so much more. You know this. So how can you start? What you've got to realize is that you are going against everything that you believe in. Because right now, your belief system around being busy is linked to your identity. But your identity is not the same thing as your values. Your identity is your mind. It's your belief systems about what's important, which we're just conditions from society anyway. So let's just get this little identity and let's just put it aside in a box and let's just go in for a second and go, what really matters? Because deep down, it's the same thing from every human being. We just want to be loved and accepted for who we are. We want to feel happy, we want to feel free, and we want to grow. So what I'm going to do now here is lure your ego in and tell you that I am going to challenge you to grow by owning the fact that part of your identity is so wound up in busyness and that you have to work hard at noticing when that urge rises up inside of you and going, I know you, your fear. And if I listen to you, I'm going to end up lonely, exhausted, and lacking fulfillment. I might be successful and rich and get lots of stuff done and people might validate me, but I'm going to feel empty. Your job to realize that. So when that urge comes up, you got to pause and go, your fear, this is hard. This is what I want. So you know what I'm going to do right now? I am not going to listen. I'm not going to give in to that urge. I'm going to stop and I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to grow in consciousness, in soul, in mind, and in life by pulling back and understanding life is worth more than being busy. You got to learn to sit. At first, you are going to sit and feel really really overwhelmed because your nervous system is so used to the busyness. Normal, normal, normal. It's going to be hard at first, just like everything that you need to learn to do. But when you were little, you didn't fall over 3 times and go, oh, that was too hard. I'm just going to give up on learning how to walk. No, you have to make the decision that you no longer want to keep running or being run by fear. How do you do that? It is actually a decision. You've got to practice. You have to take responsibility. So do I. We all do. That's the only way this is going to work. You can't ask someone, how do I stop feeling guilty? You've just got to realize that the guilt is fear and that you need to do the practices if you choose. No one's forcing you, but you've got to do the practices of sitting and being still with yourself. 30-day challenge. You ready? Every single morning when you wake up, you set an alarm for 5 minutes on your phone. As soon as you press start, you close your eyes and you bring your attention to your breath. Your mind's going to wander, very natural. You just effortlessly bring it back. It's going to float away, bring it back. What this does is it means that while your focus is bringing your attention to your breath, it's not diving into thoughts that are like to-do lists and social media and everything else that drives that guilt. Now, what this does, without getting way too scientific, it's A, rewiring your brain for you to be able to be in charge of your mind, not it run you like a damn monkey. And B, it is filling you up from the inside. So what that means is that you are no longer relying on the outside world to validate you, which is why we are addicted to the busyness in the first place. So for 30 days, you spend 5 minutes bringing your attention to your breath. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. It's not rocket science, but as you do that, you will create this fullness inside, and suddenly you'll be like, you know what? It's okay to sit and chill. You'll start to have self-reflection. You will cultivate connection to your intuition. Shit's gonna get clear. You're gonna see life really differently. Essentially, what this does is it creates a sense of self-control. That means when those urges come up or those thoughts around, having to do something or panicking because you suddenly don't have some idea that you are now following, or, social media is not always validating you and your business isn't necessarily growing, you're going to go, but that's cool, because your mind is going to do its thing, but you'll feel a fullness inside, which is going to cultivate connection to your intuition, which is just your inner compass and your values, and you'll be able to start listening to you instead of fear. That's what this does. That's why mindfulness and meditation are a way of creating a sense of self-control, a sense of self-trust and confidence from within. This is what I teach kids at schools, and they're like, yeah, of course. But as adults, we're a little bit more conditioned. You've got to decide. You have to decide this is what matters.